In this lesson, we'll cover the initial plan views, specifically after you've linked other Revit projects to your current Revit MEP project. So in previous lessons, we looked at how to link in an architect's Revit project to our MEP project. And hence, that's what you see on your screen. The walls, the doors, the windows, the plumbing fixtures, and the other elements are all from the Revit architect's model. Now, to see that model linked, you can go to the Insert tab on your ribbon, click Manage Links, and you'll see listed here under the Revit tab is the architect model that's currently linked into our Revit MEP project. Go ahead and click Cancel. Now, by default, whenever you link in a Revit MEP project, typically the visibility settings for whatever comes from the architect's project or whatever other project is linked, those visibility settings are typically dictated by your project. In other words, you're the host, so your settings apply to it. And that's why some of these elements you see are actually grayed out, and I can't modify technically everything here because this is a linked file. I'll zoom in a little bit to see that. Now, sometimes though, you may not see everything because maybe your settings dictate to say in this view, you can't see that. Whenever you create a new level or you're looking at your existing levels, how do we go about changing the visibility of what you see in your initial floor plan, specifically this view? Well, to do that, we can look at our visibility settings. One way to do that is to go to the View tab on the ribbon. So click View. All the way over on the left, click Visibility Graphics. Now, the Visibility Graphics window opens, and you see you have several tabs controlling the visibility of various elements within your Revit project. First tab is the Model tab, and this controls all of the elements in your MEP project. Second tab is all of the annotation elements in, again, your MEP project. Same thing with the third tab, the analytical elements. Same thing with the fourth tab, anything that's imported regarding families. And then you also have filters, but the one pertaining to this about this linked file is the last tab, Revit Links. If you have a linked Revit project, this tab will appear. If you don't have any linked Revit projects, this tab will not appear. So again, on the Revit Links, I see my linked file. I see the architect's model, and if I click the plus to the left of it, it has a couple secondary items if things are shared or not shared. I'm not really concerned about the lower element. It's mostly the one that's highlighted, the architect model in itself. Now you have current settings for halftone and underlay, and also all the way display settings to the right where it reads by host view, meaning whatever view I'm looking at in my current Revit MEP project, its settings for visibility and graphics will apply to the associated view from my linked Revit Architects project. To change that, because maybe there's something you have turned off in the Revit project view, but you want to see it from your architect project view or that linked project. To override this or change this for this linked Revit file, click on By Host View under Display Settings on the right. Once you do that, a new window opens with specific settings for your linked Revit project. Now, right now I'm on the Basics tab, and you can click through the other tabs. The tabs are actually the same as you saw in the previous screen, Model, Annotation, Analytical, and Import. But you notice on each one of these, everything is grayed out. I can't really select anything. Let's go back to the Basics tab. You have three radio buttons, three little circles for three options at the top. By Host View is the default setting, and you're picking up all the settings from the host view in your Revit MEP project. But you could say or click by linked view, meaning, well, what view do you want to hold as a standard for everything in this Revit project? And you could pick whatever one you want, and then that view is carried through to all the other tabs. So if you go to the Model tab, you could see at the very top it says by linked view, but relates back to the Basics tab on what view you linked. But again, everything is still grayed out. To change everything individually, totally giving you control of how you see and view things from the Revit linked file, click Custom. And once you click Custom, you can see all of these basic elements now allowed to be changed. In other words, you could go into each of these drop-downs and change them. But to change the other elements, such as your Model, Annotation, Analytical items, let's go to those tabs. So go to the Model Categories tab. Now, right now, everything is still grayed out, but the drop-down selection at the top now gives me the ability to change it. And this is where you'd want to change this to custom. Now, with it set at custom, you can individually change any of your visibility and other graphic settings for, again, this linked Revit file. Same thing is true for annotation categories. You could change it to custom and change these elements. Likewise for analytical and also for import. So this gives you the ability to override any settings that this linked file is picking up from your current Revit project to totally changing something that you want it to be, again, standalone from what your file is. Just go back to basics. Let's leave it at custom and click OK. Now you see display settings is red as custom. Click OK again. With that, you'll notice some of the actual text has changed to a darker color based on how we decided to use the custom setting and not the current setting for this text in our Revit MEP project. So as a review, what we looked at in this lesson was our initial plan views, specifically after we've linked in an external or another Revit project, in this case, a Revit Architects project. We looked at how those views and how those elements from that Revit linked project are visually seen in our current MEP project. And we also looked at how we can override that, how we can change those settings for visibility and graphics so we can see additional things and not have it follow what our host settings are set at, meaning what it's set at my current Revit MEP project. And the last thing we looked at is setting everything to custom, meaning I can fully change the visibility of the graphics from anything in that linked Revit file so I can visually see it or visually not.